Patience Wheatcroft, first of all, you've been at the Wall Street Journal Europe now for nearly a year. Why did you decide to take up the editorship?
Rupert Murdoch came knocking, and Rupert, in persuasive mood, is very persuasive. And he had decided, having bought the Journal and Dow Jones a year before that having looked at it quite carefully, there was an opportunity for the Journal in Europe. I wasn't entirely convinced, and they kept on at me, and then they said, well, come out to New York and have a look. And I went out to New York, and the energy and the enthusiasm there is now in the Journal and Dow Jones was just something I couldn't resist, I'm afraid. I suppose it's in my blood. And I do think there's a huge opportunity now for this business.
And so what changes have you made in the last 11 months, and where do you want to take it in the future?
I hope I've made it a bit more user-friendly. There are the new features in the Journal. We've decided to remain as a tabloid rather than going back to being a broadsheet, which is something we looked at. But I think the future is undoubtedly for papers to be tabloid. We're targeting it quite carefully to a small but powerful section of business movers and shakers, and political movers and shakers too. We're never going to be a mass market publication, but I think as we're beginning to see, people will pay for quality information. That's what we're aiming to provide.
And of course that's an interesting point in terms of the whole digital element and open access to digital content and paywalls. Where do you stand on that?
The Journal has always charged for its content. It's a wonderful position to be in. It's much harder, of course, if you've given something away, to suddenly turn around and say to people, well, we've given it to you before for nothing, now we want you to pay. We're not in that position, and I believe that gives us a huge advantage, and that we can continue to persuade people to pay for a quality product. And of course the new technology coming along, things like the iPad, are going to make it much easier for us to really extend our reach, because distribution of a paper product is hugely expensive and very difficult in some parts of the world that we try to get to. The iPad and that sort of digital technology makes it much easier to cover the globe.